The best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer somebody else up. Happiness is not in things, happiness is in you. A successful man is one who can lay a firm foundation with the bricks others have thrown at him. If you have good thoughts, they will shine out of your face like sunbeams and you will always look lovely. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. Love is that condition in which the happiness of another person is essential to your own. Happiness resides not in possessions, and not in gold. Happiness dwells in the soul. Speak or act with a pure mind and happiness will follow. The most important thing is to enjoy your life, to be happy. It's all that matters. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Derive happiness in oneself from a good day's work, from illuminating the fog that surrounds us. Be happy with what you have. Be excited about what you want. Happiness, not in another place but this place, not for another hour, but this hour. You cannot always have happiness, but you can always give happiness. We choose our joys and sorrows long before we experience them. Some cause happiness wherever they go, others, whenever they go. Don't wait around for other people to be happy for you. Any happiness you get, you've got to make yourself. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. Don't let your happiness depend on something you may lose. Dedicate yourself to the good you deserve and desire for yourself. Give yourself peace of mind. You deserve to be happy. You deserve delight. All happiness comes from the desire for others to be happy. Happiness is like a kiss. You must share it to enjoy it. Nothing real stands between you and your happiness, only illusion and confusion. Happiness is not something you postpone for the future, it is something you design for the present. Rules for happiness: something to do, someone to love, something to hope for. Being happy doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It means that you've decided to look beyond the imperfections. Let us be grateful to people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. Everywhere you go, take a smile with you. If you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or objects. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched, they must be felt with the heart. Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you are doing, you will be successful. Until you are happy with who you are, you will never be happy with what you have. Your success and happiness lies in you. Resolve to keep happy, and your joy and you shall form an invincible host against difficulties. The secret of happiness, you see, is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Be happy for this moment. This moment is your life. The human race has one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. Life will bring you pain all by itself. Your responsibility is to create joy. There are two ways to be happy: improve your reality, or lower your expectations. Happiness depends more on the inward disposition of mind than on outward circumstances. Think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy. Spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come to you without leaving happier. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. If you want to be happy, set a goal that commands your thoughts, liberates your energy, and inspires your hopes. Sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. The secret of happiness is to admire without desiring. Often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one that has been opened for us. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Happiness belongs to the self-sufficient. Laughter is an instant vacation. Happiness is a gift, and the trick is not to expect it, but to delight in it when it comes. Optimism is a happiness magnet. If you stay positive, good things and good people will be drawn to you. Fill the cup of happiness for others, and there will be enough overflowing to fill yours to the brim. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. It is not how much we have, but how much we enjoy, that makes happiness. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Always laugh when you can. It is cheap medicine. Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. The greatest joys of life are happy memories. Your job is to create as many of them as possible. When you're happy, you enjoy the music, but when you're sad, you understand the lyrics. There is only one happiness in this life, to love and be loved. To find out what one is fitted to do, and to secure an opportunity to do it, is the key to happiness. Those who bring sunshine into the lives of others cannot keep it from themselves. Different men seek after happiness in different ways and by different means, and so make for themselves different modes of life and forms of government. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Happiness is something that comes into our lives through doors we don't even remember leaving open. Happiness is not a destination. It is a method of life. You are on the eve of a complete victory. You can't go wrong. The world is behind you. Nothing can take your joy, you have to give it away. You're in complete control of your happiness. Let a joy keep you. Reach out your hands and take it when it runs by. Happiness is a way of travel, not a destination. Be happy. It's one way of being wise. What we call the secret of happiness is no more a secret than our willingness to choose life. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. The person born with a talent they are meant to use will find their greatest happiness in using it. The way to be happy is to make others so. Happiness quite unshared can scarcely be called happiness, it has no taste. Happiness is a state of mind which we ourselves have the power to control, and that control lies in our thinking. Happiness is different from pleasure. Happiness has something to do with struggling and enduring and accomplishing. Count your age by friends, not years. Count your life by smiles, not tears. The purpose of life is the expansion of happiness. Success is not the key to happiness, happiness is the key to success. Happiness is not a goal, it is a byproduct. When you wish someone joy, you wish them peace, love, prosperity, happiness, all the good things. The joy that isn't shared dies young. The best things in life aren't things. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Do not speak of your happiness to one less fortunate than yourself. Happiness can be thought, taught, and caught, but not bought. The goal of all goals is happiness, and our emotions are like road signs on the journey toward the goal of happiness. The care of human life and happiness, and not their destruction, is the first and only object of good government. If you want to be happy, be. Fear is stupid. So are regrets. Only the development of compassion and understanding for others can bring us the tranquility and happiness we all seek. I am not proud, but I am happy, and happiness blinds, I think, more than pride. There are shortcuts to happiness, and dancing is one of them. Learn to value yourself, which means, fight for your happiness. You have two choices. You can make a living, or you can design a life. Happiness in marriage is entirely a matter of chance. That's the difference between me and the rest of the world. Happiness isn't good enough for me. I demand euphoria. Happiness is an accident of nature, a beautiful and flawless aberration. To forgive is the highest, most beautiful form of love. In return, you will receive untold peace and happiness. I've got nothing to do today but smile. Happiness is a direction, not a place. Your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. The more you praise and celebrate your life, the more there is in life to celebrate. There can be no happiness if the things we believe in are different from the things we do. Success is getting and achieving what you want. Happiness is wanting and being content with what you get. I think happiness is what makes you pretty. Period. Happy people are beautiful. They become like a mirror and they reflect that happiness. Happiness is not perfected until it is shared. There is no way to happiness, happiness is the way. Seek to do good, and you will find that happiness will run after you. A happy life consists in tranquility of mind. Wisdom is founded on memory, happiness on forgetfulness. Considering the way the world is, one happy day is almost a miracle. Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle. Happiness never decreases by being shared. You're only young once, but you can be immature forever. Now and then it's good to pause in our pursuit of happiness and just be happy. A good laugh is sunshine in the house. Be happy, and a reason will come along. All who joy would win must share it. Happiness was born a twin. 7 deadly sins: wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, science without humanity, knowledge without character, politics without principle, commerce without morality, worship without sacrifice. An act of goodness is of itself an act of happiness. Happiness is a butterfly, which when pursued, is always just beyond your grasp, but which, if you will sit down quietly, may alight upon you. Action may not always bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action. Happiness is a perfume you cannot pour on others without getting some on yourself. Happiness is not a possession to be prized, it is a quality of thought, a state of mind. Angelic happiness is in service, from service, and according to service. Stop feeling sorry for yourself and you will be happy. Smile doesn't mean that someone is happy. Sometimes it just means that you're strong. Happiness is a choice that requires effort at times. The secret of happiness is not in doing what one likes, but in liking what one does. Happiness is nothing more than good health and a bad memory. Where your pleasure is, there is your treasure. Where your treasure, there your heart. Where your heart, there your happiness. Happiness is neither virtue nor pleasure nor this thing nor that but simply growth. We are happy when we are growing. Those who are happiest are those who do the most for others. Life has many ways of testing a person's will, either by having nothing happen at all or by having everything happen all at once. He that is discontented in one place will seldom be happy in another. Happiness consists in activity. It is a running stream, not a stagnant pool. The only thing that will make you happy is being happy with who you are, and not who people think you are. If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. A table, a chair, a bowl of fruit and a violin, what else does a man need to be happy? By heaven we understand a state of happiness infinite in degree, and endless in duration. The foolish man seeks happiness in the distance, the wise grows it under his feet. All the wealth in the world cannot be compared with the happiness of living together happily united. People don't notice whether it's winter or summer when they're happy. Happiness lies not in the mere possession of money, it lies in the joy of achievement, in the thrill of creative effort. There is no cosmetic for beauty like happiness. Happiness in intelligent people is the rarest thing I know. No medicine cures what happiness cannot. I have learned to seek my happiness by limiting my desires, rather than in attempting to satisfy them. You will never be happier than you expect. To change your happiness, change your expectation. The U.S. Constitution doesn't guarantee happiness, only the pursuit of it. You have to catch up with it yourself. If my heart can become pure and simple, like that of a child, I think there probably can be no greater happiness than this. The power of finding beauty in the humblest things makes home happy and life lovely. Happiness comes only when we push our brains and hearts to the farthest reaches of which we are capable. He is happiest, be he king or peasant, who finds peace in his home. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. The happiness you feel is in direct proportion to the love you give. A happy life consists not in the absence, but in the mastery of hardships. Happiness doesn't depend on any external conditions, it is governed by our mental attitude. Joy is what happens to us when we allow ourselves to recognize how good things really are. The search for happiness is one of the chief sources of unhappiness. The supreme happiness of life is the conviction that we are loved. But what is happiness except the simple harmony between a man and the life he leads? To live long and achieve happiness, cultivate the art of radiating happiness. Happiness is a habit, cultivate it. We are no longer happy so soon as we wish to be happier. Plenty of people miss their share of happiness, not because they never found it, but because they didn't stop to enjoy it. Happiness is an inside job. Happiness is not a reward, it is a consequence. Suffering is not a punishment, it is a result. Happiness is not achieved by the conscious pursuit of happiness, it is generally the byproduct of other activities. Many persons have a wrong idea of what constitutes true happiness. It is not attained through self-gratification but through fidelity to a worthy purpose. I don't believe in failure. It is not failure if you enjoyed the process. No man is happy who does not think himself so. Knowledge of what is possible is the beginning of happiness. There's a huge difference between achieving to be happy and happily achieving. Most people ask for happiness on condition. Happiness can only be felt if you don't set any condition. There is joy in work. There is no happiness except in the realization that we have accomplished something. Happiness often sneaks in through a door you didn't know you left open. Everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it. The only thing more dangerous than ignorance is arrogance. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Morality is not properly the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. Remember that very little is needed to make a happy life. The time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. If only we'd stop trying to be happy, we could have a pretty good time. Laughter is the language of the soul. It is neither wealth nor splendor, but tranquility and occupation which give you happiness. Happiness is anyone and anything that's loved by you. There is only one success, to be able to spend your life in your own way. Children are happy because they don't have a file in their minds called, all the things that could go wrong. The wiser course is to think of others when pursuing our own happiness. Act the way you want to feel. Trust yourself. Create the kind of self that you will be happy to live with all your life. Be happy with what you have and are, be generous with both, and you won't have to hunt for happiness. It is pretty hard to tell what does bring happiness. Poverty and wealth have both failed. The necessity of pursuing true happiness is the foundation of all liberty. Happiness, in its full extent, is the utmost pleasure we are capable of. When I walked out of the gate, I knew that if I continued to hate these people, I was still in prison. The head thinks, the hands labor, but it's the heart that laughs. The habit of being happy enables one to be freed, or largely freed, from the domination of outward conditions. Happiness was born a twin. You have to do your thing no matter what anyone says. It's your life. Happiness is a choice. Human happiness seems to consist in three ingredients: action, pleasure, and indolence. It's been my experience that you can nearly always enjoy things if you make up your mind firmly that you will. Don't worry, be happy. Too many people are thinking of security instead of opportunity. They seem to be more afraid of life than death. Blessed are the cracked, for they shall let in the light. To describe happiness is to diminish it. Remember that happiness is a way of travel, it's not a destination. The answer lies within ourselves. If we can't find peace and happiness there, it's not going to come from the outside. Ask yourself whether you are happy, and you cease to be so. There are people who can do all fine and heroic things but one, keep from telling their happiness to the unhappy. Speak or act with a pure mind, and happiness will follow you as your shadow, unshakable. Happiness is not best achieved by those who seek it directly. People take different roads seeking fulfillment and happiness. Just because they're not on your road doesn't mean they've gotten lost. Happiness is spiritual, born of truth and love. It is unselfish, therefore it cannot exist alone, but requires all mankind to share it. We all live with the objective of being happy. Our lives are all different and yet the same. The greatest happiness of life is the conviction that we are loved, loved for ourselves, or rather, loved in spite of ourselves. Don't be content in your life just to do no wrong, be prepared every day to try and do some good. Happiness ain't a thing in itself, it's only a contrast with something that ain't pleasant. Happiness is inward, and not outward, and so, it does not depend on what we have, but on what we are. A negative mind will never give you a positive life. Your genius will shine through, and happiness will fill your life, the instant you discover your higher purpose and direct all your energies towards it. If you pursue happiness, you never find it. Take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature. Happiness is like those palaces in fairy tales whose gates are guarded by dragons. We must fight in order to conquer it. Each morning when I open my eyes, I say to myself, I, not events, have the power to make me happy or unhappy today. We have no more right to consume happiness without producing it than to consume wealth without producing it. Happiness is a mystery, like religion, and should never be rationalized. Every day brings a chance for you to draw in a breath, kick off your shoes, and dance. All we need to make us really happy is something to be enthusiastic about. Happiness leads none of us by the same route. The happiest people are those who do the most for others. The most miserable are those who do the least. They seem to come suddenly upon happiness as if they had surprised a butterfly in the winter woods. The moments of happiness we enjoy take us by surprise. It is not that we seize them, but that they seize us. One should be either sad or joyful. Contentment is a warm sty for eaters and sleepers. Do not anticipate trouble or worry about what may never happen. Keep in the sunlight. The two enemies of human happiness are pain and boredom. But oh, how bitter a thing it is to look into happiness through another man's eyes. Joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day. It is a great obstacle to happiness to expect too much. Happiness is a how, not a what. A talent, not an object. The first recipe for happiness is, avoid too lengthy meditation on the past. Enjoy everything that happens in your life, but never make your happiness or success dependent on an attachment to any person, place, or thing. Really high-minded people are indifferent to happiness, especially other people's. The human spirit needs to accomplish, to achieve, to triumph, to be happy. You cannot protect yourself from sadness without protecting yourself from happiness. The happiness of a man in this life does not consist in the absence but in the mastery of his passions. Beneath the makeup and behind the smile, I am just a girl who wishes for the world. Live with the objective of being happy. Happiness is that state of consciousness which proceeds from the achievement of one's values. Happiness is not a matter of events, it depends upon the tides of the mind. Joy comes not through possession or ownership but through a wise and loving heart. A good laugh overcomes more difficulties and dissipates more dark clouds than any other one thing. No one has a right to consume happiness without producing it. Happiness is a matter of one's most ordinary everyday mode of consciousness, being busy and lively and unconcerned with self. Why not seize the pleasure at once? How often is happiness destroyed by preparation, foolish preparation? Happiness makes up in height for what it lacks in length. Happiness depends upon ourselves. Our minds are as different as our faces. We are all traveling to one destination, happiness, but few are going by the same road. One filled with joy preaches without preaching. The secret to happiness is to find a congenial monotony. Happiness does not lie in happiness, but in the achievement of it. Happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. Real elation is when you feel you could touch a star without standing on tiptoe. My happiness is not the means to any end. It is the end. It is its own goal. It is its own purpose. I think and think and think. I've thought myself out of happiness 1,000,000 times, but never once into it. Happiness is an imaginary condition, formerly attributed by the living to the dead, now usually attributed by adults to children, and by children to adults. Happiness refers to feelings, virtue refers to actions, and those actions can cause those feelings. But not necessarily and not exclusively. That is happiness, to be dissolved into something complete and great. To be without some of the things you want is an indispensable part of happiness. True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. Happiness consists not in having much, but in being content with little. The trick is that as long as you know who you are and what makes you happy, it doesn't matter how others see you. Every time you smile at someone, it is an action of love, a gift to that person, a beautiful thing. Eden is that old-fashioned house we dwell in every day without suspecting our abode until we drive away. The world is so full of a number of things, I'm sure we should all be as happy as kings. I'm choosing happiness over suffering, I know I am. I'm making space for the unknown future to fill up my life with yet-to-come surprises. In spite of everything, life is not without hope. The purpose of our lives is to be happy. The happiest people seem to be those who have no particular cause for being happy except that they are so. There are two ways to get enough. One is to continue to accumulate more and more. The other is to desire less. I am a kind of paranoid in reverse. I suspect people of plotting to make me happy. Thus happiness depends, as nature shows, less on exterior things than most suppose. If you believe in what you're doing, you'll be successful. As a well-spent day brings happy sleep, so life well used brings happy death. The greatest gift you can ever give another person is your own happiness. It is sometimes easier to be happy if you don't know everything. Joy is a net of love by which you can catch souls. The mind is its own place, and in itself, can make heaven of hell, and a hell of heaven. True happiness comes from the joy of deeds well done, the zest of creating things new. A man who suffers or stresses before it is necessary, suffers more than is necessary. The key ingredient to any kind of happiness or success is to never give less than your best. Happiness is excitement that has found a settling down place, but there is always a little corner that keeps flapping around. What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others. Happiness is the only sanction of life. Where happiness fails, existence remains a mad and lamentable experiment. All you need for happiness is a good gun, a good horse, and a good wife. Whether happiness may come or not, one should try and prepare oneself to do without it. Best things in life aren't things. Happiness is right in front of you. A smile is a curve that sets everything straight. Happiness is the settling of the soul into its most appropriate spot. Some people are always grumbling because roses have thorns. I am thankful that thorns have roses. There is no duty we so much underrate as the duty of being happy. By being happy we sow anonymous benefits upon the world. Unhappiness is not knowing what we want and killing ourselves to get it. A lifetime of happiness. No man alive could bear it, it would be hell on earth. Of all forms of caution, caution in love is perhaps the most fatal to true happiness. Yesterday, happiness came in suddenly, as it used to, and remained for a moment in the great, dark, silent drawing room. On a deeper level you are already complete. When you realize that, there is a joyous energy behind what you do. A mind always employed is always happy. This is the true secret, the grand recipe, for felicity. The secret of happiness is something to do. Be happy in the moment, that's enough. Each moment is all we need, not more. No man can be happy without a friend, nor be sure of his friend till he is unhappy. Happiness is not an ideal of reason, but of imagination. Misery is almost always the result of thinking. I've realized that being happy is a choice. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. You don't have to do anything to be happy, nor do you have to avoid anything. Happiness comes from within your mind. Happiness already exists. I look on that man as happy, who, when there is question of success, looks into his work for a reply. If each one of us could make just one other happy, the whole world would know happiness. The greatest happiness in the world is to make others happy. Happiness is often somewhere near us, not in the far places. If you want a happy ending, that depends, of course, on where you stop your story. Gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder. We take greater pains to persuade others that we are happy than in endeavoring to think so ourselves. Believe in yourself. Have faith in your abilities. Without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers, you cannot be successful or happy. My crown is called content, a crown that seldom kings enjoy. Whoever is happy will make others happy. We are more interested in making others believe we are happy than in trying to be happy ourselves. Happiness consists in giving and in serving others. The person who seeks all their applause from outside has their happiness in another's keeping. Happiness, an agreeable sensation arising from contemplating the misery of another. The best years of your life are the ones in which you decide your problems are your own. You can't be happy unless you're unhappy sometimes. Keep smiling, because life is a beautiful thing and there's so much to smile about. He who enjoys doing and enjoys what he has done is happy. The purpose of morality is to teach you, not to suffer and die, but to enjoy yourself and live. A joy that's shared is a joy made double. The happiness of most people is not ruined by great catastrophes or fatal errors, but by the repetition of slowly destructive little things. Happy the man whose wish and care a few paternal acres bound, content to breathe his native air in his own ground. Joyfulness keeps the heart and face young. A good laugh makes us better friends with ourselves and everybody around us. Growth itself contains the germ of happiness. Happiness is in the taste, and not in the things. Birds sing after a storm. Why shouldn't people feel as free to delight in whatever remains to them? The very purpose of our life is to seek happiness. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness. I don't sing because I'm happy because I sing. Man is the artificer of his own happiness. Just do what must be done. This may not be happiness, but it is greatness. If this isn't nice, I don't know what is. When your happiness is someone else's happiness, that is love. To live happily is an inward power of the soul. Happiness is the natural flower of duty. By and large, I have come to see that if we complain about life, it is because we are thinking only of ourselves. Happiness is not a life without pain, but rather a life in which the pain is traded for a worthy price. In order to have great happiness, you have to have great pain and unhappiness, otherwise how would you know when you're happy? Unbroken happiness is a bore, it should have ups and downs. There is no true healing unless there is a change in outlook, peace of mind and inner happiness. Happiness is a warm puppy. The essence of philosophy is that a man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. Happiness is found in doing, not merely possessing. Indeed, man wishes to be happy even when he so lives as to make happiness impossible. There is no end of craving. Hence contentment alone is the best way to happiness. Therefore, acquire contentment. What's the good of dragging up sufferings which are over, of being unhappy now just because you were then? I have just one day, today, and I'm going to be happy in it. Friends show their love in times of trouble, not in happiness. I'd far rather be happy than write any day. Happiness is a thing to be practiced, like the violin. You can't buy happiness. We live in an ascending scale when we live happily, one thing leading to another in an endless series. To be happy is not the purpose of our being, but to deserve happiness. Happiness grows at our own firesides, and is not to be picked in strangers' gardens. Let there be more joy and laughter in your living. The ideals which have always shone before me and filled me with the joy of living are goodness, beauty, and truth. He is rich or poor according to what he is, not according to what he has. Happiness comes from within. My happiness grows in direct proportion to my acceptance, and in inverse proportion to my expectations. Every minute should be enjoyed and savored. Gratitude helps you to grow and expand. Gratitude brings joy and laughter into your life and into the lives of all those around you.